These psychological tricks aren't illegal, but they feel like they should require a license. Trick number 10, the echo of silence. Let's begin with one of the quietest powers you'll ever hold. Silence. Not the awkward kind. I mean the intentional kind, the kind that feels like you're holding a mirror made of air. Most people fear silence. They sprint away from it like it's a wild animal. The moment a conversation gets quiet, their brain starts panicking. Say something, anything, fill the space. But here's the strange thing. The person who fills the silence loses control of it. When you learn to hold silence with confidence, you gain a psychological advantage that feels almost supernatural. It makes people open up. It makes them explain more than they planned. It makes them reveal truths they were trying to hide, even from themselves. Because silence doesn't pressure people. Silence invites them. It's like standing at the edge of a still lake. Eventually the surface breaks, not because you force it, but because thoughts naturally bubble upward. In negotiations, silence feels like gravity. In arguments, it becomes a pause button that resets the emotional temperature. In friendships, in relationships, even with strangers, silence is a signal. I'm here. I'm listening. You don't need to fight to be heard. There's a reason therapists master this. There's a reason world-class interviewers let people talk long after they've answered the question. There's a reason leaders who speak less often end up saying things people remember. And here's the part nobody tells you. Silence works best when you're not using it to manipulate, but to understand. People can feel that difference. One feels like pressure, the other feels like presence. Think back to a moment in your life when someone truly listened to you, not waiting to talk, not preparing their response, just listening. That moment sticks with you, right? Maybe write a word for it, a word that describes how it felt. Those small reflections often reveal who we're becoming. And since we're being honest here, silence is hard, especially today when everyone wants to be loud. Social media rewards shouting, complaining, reacting, not thinking. Even the mind gets noisy. That's why people like Steve Jobs practiced long walks without speaking to reset the inner clutter so clarity could return. Wise people don't use silence to shut the world out. They use it to let the truth in. And as a little reminder from the Wise Joe Corner, silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you were too busy to hear. Now that you understand the echo of silence, we move downward towards something sharper, softer, and even more disarming. Trick number 9, the agreement that disarms. Some psychological tricks aren't illegal, but this one feels like it should come with a warning label because trick 9 is unbelievably simple, almost too simple, that it's the quiet superpower hidden inside 2 words. You're right. Not sarcastically, not aggressively, not as a surrender, but as a strategic reset, a psychological judo move. Here's the truth most people never realize. Human beings don't actually argue about facts. They argue about identity. The moment someone feels attacked, their brain switches into survival mode. Logic disappears. Reason evaporates. Now, the conversation becomes a battlefield, and every sentence is a shield. But when you say you're right, something strange happens. The battlefield dissolves. The shields go down. The emotional fire alarm quietly shuts off. You're not agreeing with their entire worldview. You're agreeing with the part of their feeling that makes sense. The part that says, I want to be understood. When people feel understood, they stop fighting and start listening. It's like handing their ego a warm cup of tea. By the way, world negotiators use this constantly. Chris Voss from the FB, talks about it in his hostage negotiation playbook. He says there's nothing more powerful than making someone feel seen. Even Jobs did it. He had this ability to agree with you, just enough to calm you down, and then pull you gently into his perspective. You're right is not manipulation. It's alignment. It's saying, I hear you. You're not crazy. Let's walk forward from here. Imagine 2 stick figures arguing. One says, you don't understand me. The other pauses, breathes, and simply replies, you're right. I don't, not yet. Tell me more. Immediately, the scene softens. The first stick figure lowers their shoulders. The storm turns into a drizzle. Trick 9 is not about giving up ground. It's about clearing the fog so the real conversation can begin. And here's the poetic part. People don't remember the argument. They remember how you made them feel during the argument. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is the softest thing you can say. Think for a moment. When was the last time someone said, "You're right," and it surprised you? And what did it open inside you? Sometimes that one memory is enough to teach the whole trick. This world doesn't need more debates. It needs more understanding, more disarming moments, more calm voice in loud rooms. Trick 9 is how you become that voice. Now, let's descend to something gentler, subtler, and almost invisible. A psychological trick most people use wrong without even realizing it. Trick 8, the gentle mirror. Some psychological tricks aren't illegal, but this one feels like you're bending reality in slow motion. Because trick 8 is subtle. So subtle that when you use it correctly, people don't notice you did anything at all. They just feel comfortable, understood, safe. It's called the gentle mirror. And unlike the robotic copy their body language advice you see online, this version is softer, warmer, human. Here's the real psychology behind it. People relax when they feel matched, not copied. Matched? There's a difference. Copying feels creepy. Matching feels natural. Imagine two stick figures talking. One crosses their arms, the other instantly crosses theirs. Creepy. It looks like a glitch in the simulation. But if that second stick figure waits a moment, breathes, and slowly settles into a similar posture, not identical, just similar, something clicks. Suddenly, the conversation becomes smoother, as if both characters stepped into the same emotional rhythm. The gentle mirror works because humans are emotional tuning forks. We sync, we adjust, we lean toward the energy that feels familiar. Even in music, harmony only sounds beautiful when the notes complement each other, not when they collide. Here's the secret nobody tells you. Mirroring isn't about posture. It's about state. If someone is speaking softly, you soften. If someone is excited, you raise your energy just a little. If someone is anxious, you anchor the room by grounding your own breath. You're not becoming them. You're rejoining them just long enough for them to feel safe stepping toward you. Therapists use this. Leaders use this. Actors use this. Even diplomats use it in high-stakes meetings. And if you've ever watched an interview with someone like Oprah, you see it. She doesn't copy people. She warms to their temperature. She meets them where they are and then gently guides the conversation where it needs to go. That's the magic of the gentle mirror. It builds trust without a single word. Try to remember a time when someone matched your vibe. Maybe they laughed when you laughed, slowed down when you did, softened their tone when you felt overwhelmed. How did that feel? Calming, validating, like you weren't alone in the room. That feeling and that warm exhale is the power of being mirrored. And when you give that to others, they remember it. Not consciously, not logically, but emotionally. You become the person who gets them even without trying. Now that we've mastered the softness of mirroring, we're going into something deeper, something that reaches into the emotional roots beneath a conversation. Trick 7, the naming of shadows. This psychological trick isn't illegal, but it feels like you're walking into someone's mind with a lantern. Trick 7 is called the naming of shadows, and it's one of the most powerful emotional tools a human